Hi, this is Bobby Boyd, and you're listening to Danny Coleman's Rock On Radio.
Aren't we the pair?
I guess so.
Hello, producer Claire. How are you?
Hello, I'm good.
What number are we up to now?
10, 11.
Are we?
Maybe.
Wow. All right. Well, we are not at the 2-track studios of Deco Entertainment.
That's right.
We are here with Shelley Fabre once again in the library series.
What chapter are we at? Chapter 10?
Something like that. 10, 11. I am not sure, but I do know that this is Rock On Radio, and you are producer Claire.
I am.
And tonight we have another Franken show.
We do.
We have another. That's right. We have another Franken show, which features a call very shortly from Johnny Iguana.
Ooh.
Johnny. Let me just tell you a little bit about Johnny Iguana, the things that he has done. Okay. He has been involved. He's got a band now called the Claudettes. Mm-hmm. All right. But let me look here, because I know that...
Is it Johnny Iguana and the Claudettes?
Nope.
Just the Claudettes?
No, he just goes by Johnny Iguana. Mm-hmm. They're going to have a full album coming out in 2025, but he's going to be at Jamie's House of Music in Philadelphia shortly.
Nice.
However, he is the co-composer of the original score of the Smash FX Hulu series, The Bear.
Oh.
Which has won 10 Emmys. He's a 2021 Blues Music Award nominee for Piano Player of the Year, a 2022 Living Blues Award nominee for Outstanding Musician, Outstanding Musician Keyboard Player, toured with Junior Wells and Otis Rush, two legends of the blues music world. He's played on 3 Grammy-nominated albums featuring Buddy Guy, Johnny Winter, which means he knows our man Paul Nelson,
Right.
our passed-on friend Paul Nelson, the late, great James Cotton, once again Junior Wells, Derek Trucks of the Allman Brothers fame, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Gary Clark Jr., Shamika Copeland,
Nice.
Billy Boy Arnold, John Primer, Lori Bell, and more. He's toured all over the world, and he's going to be calling us very shortly.
Very cool.
Because he and the Claudettes will be at the House of Music. Jamie's House of Music in Philadelphia. So, Rock On Radio is brought to you by Lillipie's of Princeton, located at 301 North Harrison Street inside the Princeton Shopping Center. Go see Jen and tell her that you heard about it on Rock On Radio. Phoenix Art Supply and Framing, located on Route 611 Easton Road in Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Phoenix Art Supply and Framing is celebrating.
I just went past there.
You did?
I did. I have to go in. I just didn't have time to go in at that time, but I did just drive past.
Okay.
We waved.
Well, there you go. Well, Phoenix Art Supply and Framing is celebrating 40 years in business with a coupon for $40 off $200 or more of framing.
Yep.
So, many thanks to Chuck and Jenny Schaefer.
That's right. And I'm actually going to probably use them to frame something for my daughter.
Fantastic. I had something I wanted to say along those lines, and
Chuck Schaefer?
And I can't remember right now. Nope. Thought train derailed once again.
You have to bring your Philly Flyer shirt and get that framed.
I do. I do. I have an autographed by Bobby Clark jersey that I should have
You should.
before he passes on as well. O'Connor's American Bar and Grill, they're going to be celebrating their 9th anniversary very soon.
Whoa.
Next Thursday, I want to say, or September. If September 9th is a Thursday, it's then.
Okay.
However, it's coming up very soon. O'Connor's American Bar and Grill, their 9th anniversary. You can look them up on Facebook. They're the official caterers of Rock On Radio.
Right. The 9th is a Monday.
A Monday. Okay, then
5th
whatever
or the
that
12th.
Thursday is.
The
It's
12th.
either the 5th or the 12th. Okay. I could be wrong. It could be this coming Thursday. I
be.
don't know. I'm not sure. But regardless, it is O'Connor's American Bar and Grill, located on Route 537, Monmouth Road in East Hampton, Mount Holly, New Jersey. Dee Dee's Lights. She is our official chandler of. See, she got a whole bunch of big stuff going on, so we're going to have to reach out to her. Say, woman, what are you doing?
What do you need me?
That's right. Dee Dee's Lights. She is the official chandler, candle maker of Rock On Radio. The Jersey Shore Jazz and Blues Foundation, located along the Jersey Shore. Now, we just emceed the Long Branch Jazz and Blues Festival this past, yesterday,
Saturday.
actually.
Yep.
I was going to say this past weekend, but, yep. And a great time was had by all. Joe Weimer led it off with the national anthem, who is our guest in the second hour this evening.
Woohoo.
And the reason why she is the guest is because my program director over at WWFM went on vacation. And what are you doing? You're making all kinds of noises over
I just
there.
looking at a photo and it turned into a video, so I did not mean for that to happen.
Your behavior is out of control.
Yeah, well.
So, anyway, Joe Weimer, my program director over at WWFM, where I do the blues music show and my monthly Chip Off the Old Rock show, loaded Part B twice
Oh, no.
for my Chip Off the Old Rock show this past Sunday. And Joe Weimer was Part A. So she's going to be in our second hour. Joe will be...
Part B.
You will hear Part A of Chip Off the Old Rock. And Joe talks about her music, her career as a vocalist, and so on and so forth.
Nice.
So that'll be fun. And you can always read more about Joe or look at her gigs by going to her website, JoeWeimerMusic.com.
That's J-O.
Right,
W-Y-M-E-R.
JoWimer. Also, we are sponsored by Asbury Park Vibes. Go to AsburyParkVibes.com. See what Doug and Diane have going on. They've got some big stuff going on too. You know, I kind of feel like a little bit of a torch passing.
Good.
Her and Doug are kind of taking over where they got their hand on the pulse of the scene that I was once very heavily involved in. Not so much anymore. But, you know,
Yeah.
I feel confident that this show not continue, that they will
Pick up the
more than capably pick up the slack. If you're in need of a photographer, a band website bio, press release, anything, contact Doug or Diane at AsburyParkVibes.com. NewJerseyStage.com, the official home of one of the two official homes of Rock On Radio. Go to AsburyMusic.com or ThePenguinRocks.com or NewJerseyStage.com and see everything and anything about arts and entertainment here in the Garden State and on the outer limits. Many thanks to Gary for all he has done over the years. For me, taking my column under his auspices for the last 13 years. Or last 10 years. 11 years? 11 years. Gary's done that now. So, NewJerseyStage.com. Sinister Footwear. Go to SinisterFW.com and use the promo code DCRSocks for 10% off any of Tina's crazy, wild, and fun-loving socks.
Right.
They are fantastic. MonkeyCultCoffee.com.
That's right. Get it while it's hot.
Get it while you can. That's right. The cigar blend is almost gone.
I know.
It's so freaking good. MonkeyCultCoffee.com. Use the promo code DCRocks10 for 10% off your order. And check out some of the artisan coffees that they sell, like bourbon chocolate chip flavored, golden honey agave, toasted coconut rum, the Sumatra,
Florida, Peruvian Florida.
Yeah, you're correct. That thing that they sell, great coffee. Cigar Beauty, cigar.beauty. Cigar.beauty on Instagram. Holly is the owner of Crown Majesty Cigars. And she's very knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable about cigars and what to do with them, how to smoke them, how to buy them, how to do a lot of things. Check out Holly at cigar.beauty. Make sure you told her you heard about us or her on Rock On Radio. And, Old Heights Brewing, the official beer providers of Rock On Radio. They're located on West Ward Street, right behind Randy Now's Man Cave at 119 West Ward Street in Heightstown, New Jersey. I miss anybody?
I really don't have my list, so.
Oh, you don't have your list.
Well, actually, O'Connor's American Bar and Grill's 9th anniversary is on August 29th.
I knew there was a 9 in there.
Yep. And the music is provided by the Grouser Girls.
Yes, the Grouser Girls. I know. Pat told me that just this morning when him and I played golf.
Oh, nice.
Yes, he said the Grouser Girls. I said, what time? He said, I have no idea.
It's at 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
That's according to their Facebook event.
The 9th anniversary party of O'Connor's Bar and Grill in East Hampton, Mount Holly, New Jersey.
Yep.
Take a drink of water there. Yeah, well, shortly, we'll be hearing from Johnny Iguana.
Oh, Sandy Hall music.
Oh, that's right. Sandy Hall. We forgot about her. I forgot about her. My apologies, Sandy Hall. SandyHallMusic.com. Sandy just released her brand new album, Full Circle. And I shouldn't say just released. It's been out for a couple of months now. But she also is signed right here to Deco Entertainment.
Yep.
We've had her here in the 2-track studios of Deco Entertainment before. Or there, I should say, because we're not there at the moment. But we will be next week.
Yep.
We'll be back to
to keep filling in.
that's right. We keep going back and forth.
That's right.
So,
And it's Mike Montre.
yes, Mike Montre's coming in next week.
And then we're back to the zany Rock to Adopt, which is kind of
Oh, yes.
And it's Rock to Adopt now, so they went back to that, not Pet Stock.
Thankfully.
Yeah. Bye. Well, it got rained out last year.
It did.
Yeah.
And not that there was anything detrimental about Pet Stock as it is, but Rock to Adopt, it encompassed everything.
Yeah.
There was all these bands donating money in order to play.
Oh.
To adopt, to pay for the cost of adopting these creatures.
Right.
And I mean, the Popcorn Park Zoo, which is where we met Bill Lewis from the Piney Tribe.
Right. Yes, he is.
I mean, that's always fun.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad we met him. He is a wealth of knowledge. He really is.
He's a local legend around here.
Now, I am going to look and see what we have here from Johnny Iguana. Maybe we can play a tune before we interview him.
Oh, good.
And a tune after.
Sounds good.
Here he is. Okay, he is going to be at Jamie's House of Music on September 5th.
Yep. 8
Same
p.m.
night as our happy hour.
Oh, right.
So that leaves us out.
That's right. 8 p.m. It's 21 and up. $25 in advance and $30 the day of the Philly area show of the year.
Yep. There you go. Well, he's got 2 singles. He's got No Matter How Much that they're releasing, and another song called Touch You Back.
Okay.
Perhaps we should play one of them before he arrives. What do you think?
Okay.
All right. Which one would you prefer, Producer Claire?
The first one sounds good.
The first one? All right. Now I forget what the first one was. Oh, No Matter How Much. And then we'll have Johnny talk to us all about that.
Good.
And the vocalist, who he claims is absolutely fabulous. And we'll do that. And we'll go from there. All right?
Right.
All right. So here's Johnny Iguana with a song called No Matter How Much.
No matter how much magic potion I drink, you will not appear behind me and throw your arms around me as I stand at the bathroom sink. Then kiss me against the wall and lead me by my hand back down the hall. No matter how much magic potion I take, you won't materialize in a hammock with me and laugh and sway on the first nice day of spring and fall asleep that way while we gently swing between the trees in the April breeze. No matter how much magic potion I drink, sitting in my kitchen at night, you just refuse to suddenly open the door and whistle while you turn on the light and toss your keys back in the dish, proving everything will be alright. No matter how much magic potion I drink, no matter how many bottles of magic potion I drink, no matter how much 100 proof Kentucky magic potion I drink, I'm stuck alone and unlucky. Some magic potion this turned out to be. Some magic potion this turned out to be. Some magic potion this turned out to be. Magic potion, my eye. Shame on you, Kentucky. Shame on you, Kentucky. Shame on you, Kentucky. Shame on you, Kentucky. I'm stuck alone and
here's our phone call, Claire, from
Yeah.
Johnny Iguana,
Nice.
which can only be a blues name. Hello, Johnny. How are you, bud?
Great. Good to talk to you, my East Coast friends.
Yeah. Now, you were saying while that song was airing that you were born in Jersey, up in North Jersey, huh?
I was, and used to be a real exciting thing to go to a Yankees game, I remember. And then when I moved with the family to the Philadelphia suburbs, just following where my dad was, got a job, I started going to Phillies games, and that continued through going to college in Philadelphia until I moved to New York. But I was in New Jersey, New York, and Philadelphia the whole first 23 years of my life before moving out to Chicago and becoming a Midwesterner, which I never thought would happen to me, but it did.
And you moved out to Chicago. Why?
Well, I've been saying for years to people, when in doubt, go out, because too many people just decide to stay home and watch TV. And in New York City, I went out when I almost didn't go out because it was raining and I was going to meet a friend, and we went to shoot pool. But instead of shooting pool, the place we were going to shoot pool had a short-lived blues jam, and the guy hosting the blues jam was the former piano player for Junior Wells, who is a notable hero of mine, and he knew that Junior was coming to New York City, where I was living then, just like that same week. So we went out to see him, and he was still looking for a piano player, and I auditioned when I was 23, right in Boston and Providence, Rhode Island, and got that gig and moved out to Chicago, and I've been out here ever since. But yeah, I got to, when I was 17, I was in a blues band around Philadelphia playing a lot of Junior Wells songs, and then 6 years later, I was in the Junior Wells band.
Wow.
That's amazing. And then, the list of people you've performed with does not stop there. Who else have you played with?
Well, that's why I'm still here in Chicago, because, I mean, as far as blues goes, I've been on records on stage with Buddy Guy. I've been on records with James Cotton and Billy Boy Arnold and John Primer and Larry Bell and then Little Ed, and then on records that I've gotten to be in through those associations. I've been on records with Johnny Winter and Mick Jagger and Keith Richards and Derek Trucks and Gary Clark Jr. and yeah, the list does go on. It's just Chicago and that scene has been really good to me, and I've gotten to go to places I never thought I'd go play piano, like Beirut and all over Japan and South America and stuff. So it's been a pretty cool gig.
Now, have you? Did you start out as a blues player, or did that?
No,
just come about?
My mother and I started classical piano lessons when I was 8, and she was, probably in her early 30s, and I really got excited about it and was taking classical piano lessons, but I was, of course, into rock music, and I would play things as outlandish to play on piano as Rush and Michael Jackson and whatever hits were at the time, and then I read your bio that you got moved by Led Zeppelin, as did I. My mother's favorite thing I played on piano was the Rain song, arranged for piano, which is quite a beautiful tune on the piano.
I was going to say that's quite a beautiful song. Yes.
Well, yeah, those chord changes are almost designed for like lush piano work. Jimmy Page has some really big, complex, ornate chords, that just play great on piano. So I was doing that, but then my uncle, as he saw me getting into, AC/DC and Led Zeppelin, he sent me their roots, which was a bunch of cassettes he dubbed of Junior Wells, Jimmy Smith, Lonnie Mack, the Treniers. I remember I had some really great, kind of mixtapes he sent me of all kinds of blues and R&B, and in the Philly suburbs at that time, no one I knew was listening to that. I had some friends who knew jazz musicians, but I didn't know any of that Chicago blues stuff or that older R&B stuff. So, as a keyboard player, especially living 20 minutes from where Jimmy Smith was from, he was from Norristown, and I was 20 minutes from there. It was already the organ capital of the world around there, and I heard a little of that, but I got really excited about it and started drilling those left-hand parts for Otis Band piano and Jimmy Smith organ. And so it was good that I started playing shows when I was the hero of my high school because everyone had fake IDs and they would come see me play on Monday nights in Germantown outside Philadelphia, and we were doing kind of our Yardbirds thing, just some young white kids playing black blues music and playing it too fast and too loud, but even the cooks in the kitchen where we played were really excited about how excited we were about this music, and I wouldn't say we were very good, but I would say we were very enthusiastic, and it was kind of our Cavern Club days where we played hours and hours and hours and hours, so it was pretty good preparation for the day I met Junior Wells, and I'd already been playing those songs, getting better at it, and by the time I met him, I was probably barely good enough, and then I just sort of learned on the job,
That's great.
Yeah. Baptism by fire is always fun.
Absolutely.
It's even more fun when you have a leg up. So, well, you're going to be at Jamie's House of Music, which is a notable blues club, where they cater to blues music more than anything else. But you're there with your band, the Claudettes, correct?
Yes. Yeah, this is the band I started with the idea of starting kind of a bluesy piano-led band, but just because I grew up playing classical, and then I was into punk and indie rock, and then got into blues. It's sort of all of that. So the band is rooted. It's kind of the foundation of it is American roots music, blues and jazz and soul, but it's really kind of ultimately kind of like an indie rock band, and we have this fantastic singer who's just absolutely force of nature performer and singer. She's a 6-foot Texan with a mohawk, and I call her our own personal Annie Lennox.
Cool.
She's a big soulful presence and just really striking, and we're really making great tracks together and playing great shows together. And so she joined us a couple years ago. But the band, the Claudettes, evolved from something instrumental and something quite bluesy to having blues in it. But it's I had to come up with a genre designation because you're supposed to, So I started calling us Garage Cabaret because it's kind of like garage rock, but it's got that jazz club, blues club feeling too.
So, wait a minute. I have to backtrack a little bit, John. Well, first off, if you're just tuning in, I am here with Johnny Iguana, who will be at Jamie's House of Music on September 5th in Philadelphia. However, 6-foot Texan with a mohawk. Now, John, I'm picturing that, and that checks off a lot of boxes for me. I've been looking for a bride that fits that description perfectly.
Well, you'll have to come to the show and take your chances.
I like how you phrase that. Take your chances. Well, I mean, she does have a very, very powerful voice. How did you find her? What's her name?
Her name is Rachel Williams, and she was known to our bass player, and we had a singer that was with us for more than 6 years who just opted, as I figured she would at some point, to stop traveling around in a van. It wasn't her very favorite thing to do, and she was, interested in the recording, and of course, if we had a tour of Europe, she was down, but she didn't particularly want to drive around the U.S. in a van, so she kind of decided to make a move and stop touring with the group. So we needed a singer, and a couple people recommended Rachel, who also was recommended to me as a noted Claudettes fan herself, who had posted about us and seen us play, and she's a well-known vocal coach. She gives vocal lessons. That's what she does for her living, which is actually a great thing for a touring musician because she can schedule around whatever we need. Because we're when we come to the East Coast, we're going for a full week, and we often go out for extended runs. So, but she and I started working together, and it became apparent to me that she was a very different kind of singer than Barrett, who sang with us for those years. Where the way I put it was Barrett is a melter and Rachel's a belter. Barrett was mostly really strong on the ballads, but just a beautiful voice all around. But Rachel's just, as I said, she's just, I'll put it this way: we do songs by Sugar Pie DeSanto and Aretha Franklin and Irma Thomas, and I wouldn't do those with just anybody. But she like and Peebles, she just does these soul songs like she just owns them, as well as kind of more punky kind of things. And it's really great for me that I can just now consider some covers to do, as well as write songs for her, and know what I've got at my disposal, which is just a really flexible, big, soulful voice.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you are the principal songwriter then in the Claudettes?
Yep. It's by the time I bring a new song idea to the band, it's largely written, but everyone still contributes parts, and it's really important that I read a great the jazz critic Nat Hentoff that was from Boston.
No, that doesn't sound familiar.
He had a book I read that stayed with me called Listen to the Stories, and it was his anecdotes of riding in cars with Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington and Bing Crosby and all kinds of jazz musicians, and it was just what they talked about. And one thing that stood out to me was somebody once asked Duke Ellington the most mundane question, and you've got like a towering figure of song like that, and someone asked him, "How did you score all those chart hits?" And Duke Ellington said, "Well, I just looked around at who was in my band at any given time, and I said, what do these guys do well?" And that's, to me, like, has been a real secret to making great music, is when you have different members in the band you that you've invited into the band, and you're a group together. Maybe the drummer or the guitar player has a different style that they do so well, and there's other things that are not their strong suit, and you don't just bring a song idea to the band because you want to do a song like that. You play to the strengths of the people you're with, and that's how a band comes off really, really mighty. A lot of your favorite bands wouldn't be so good if they were forced to suddenly do a different kind of music or play different kinds of parts, Well, and so that's, that as we're working on a song, it's really important to sort of remember who you have in this group with you, and where do they just come off as just like wicked awesome, and try to write to that.
It's kind of odd that you say that, because I've been fortunate enough to have interviewed Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull on several occasions. And each time I took away something different from the interview. And the first time I interviewed him, I asked him about his band and how it's totally different than the band from the 70s.
Yeah.
And his response to me, in his English halted tones, was, Danny, a band is anyone that's in the room with me. and I thought to myself, well, now, how do you work that way? I mean, I'm a musician, John, and I like the familiarity with the other players, and working together on music, and not just sitting in with a bunch of hired guns who may not emotionally be attached to it in some sort of way, like your bandmates are.
Absolutely, yeah. I have a sort of a damning term for if I come home from a show and someone says, "How was that show you went to?" I'll go, "Oh, it was musicians' music." Just a bunch of professionals up there showing me how well they play, and that's so boring. I want something that's gonna hit my heart and hopefully make you cry at times, and just really feel. The musicians, if they're not really feeling the songs, and it doesn't mean much, it doesn't mean more than an opportunity to display technique, then I'm just not very interested in that. And I've got an emotional group of smart people here who have a lot of personality, and it's just like kind of an embarrassment of riches to work with, because I'll come up with ideas and go, oh my God, I can hear it in my head already. That's going to be so good, with them. And yeah, to just get people come through and go, oh, this person's available. Okay, here's our songs, learn these chord changes, and we have a gig on Friday. That's just a recipe for boredom all around.
I recently began working with a gentleman that I worked with in my very first band ever. And him and I were talking about this very same thing, and something you said earlier in the conversation struck me very similar to what we spoke about. And that was how you were saying, you had said something earlier about the band you were in wasn't the most, and I'm paraphrasing here because I don't remember exactly what you said, something about they weren't the most talented, but you guys had this great personality, this presence, and that's the way the band him and I were in high school were. We weren't technically sound, we weren't the best of the best, but we played with personality and emotion, and that goes a long way. And sometimes people, the way you just described it, musicians' music, I mean, that's true, because I would rather see a band that may be a little sloppy here or there, but play their rear ends off to their fan base, rather than just sit back and watch hour upon hour upon hour of these technically sound musicians, because you can be awed the entire time, but then I just hate coming away empty from a show.
Well, could you imagine like a professional technical master or studio musician playing Jimmy Reed? Like, who cares? Jimmy Reed was so drunk he was falling off the stool, and the songs are simple, and it might be a little out of tune, and someone in the band goes to the 4 when everyone else is still on the 1, and it's a classic.
Correct.
Well,
that's
there's so much great stuff. There's an art to being rough around the edges, though.
True, and that's when they allowed mistakes in music, unlike today's auto-tuned and perfect pitched world and point and clicks. So before we go any further, the Claudettes, what are your what are your websites, social media? What's the best way to find you?
The Claudettes.com has a link, one of those link tree things on the front where it's got links to our videos and all our other social media and stuff. But on Facebook, on Instagram, everywhere, it's pretty easy to find the Claudettes, and all our show dates are up on the Claudettes.com, which that's why we're speaking tonight. Is we're doing a lot in the Midwest, but we're headed out to my East Coast stomping ground to Virginia, Philadelphia, New York City, Boston, and Buffalo first week of September. So
okay, now this show does go worldwide. So Jamie's is on September 5th, and where are you the other days here on the East Coast?
We start in Virginia, Harrisonburg, Virginia, for a summer concert series on the 4th, which is a Wednesday, and then the Thursday, the 5th, is in Lansdowne, just west of Philly, and then we're going to be in New York City at the Iridium, which I'm
nice.
excited about.
Yeah.
Yep. On Friday, September 6th, and then Saturday the 7th, we're at this really cool thing that there's a guy that publishes a Roots magazine called The Alternate Route.
Oh yeah, I know that mag. Yes.
Yeah. Danny McCloskey hooked me up with this place. It's called the Fallout Shelter in Norwood, Mass., which is just west of Boston. And they have something called the Extended Play Sessions that they've been having for years there, where it's like a soundstage. So it's a live show, but it's in like a really like high-end studio where the band gets to take away like a 4 or 5 camera shoot and HD recording, and it gets I'm sure it gets streamed live too, but it's Jimmy Vivino is a regular there. Like, there's a lot of great bands that play there, and it leans toward not necessarily just blues, but just all kinds of roots music, and I've heard great things about it. Yeah, I'm looking at their schedule here. Jimmy Vivino and Los Tex Maniacs, the Sinelli brothers. Oh, Bruce Katz is playing there. Guy Davis. I've seen a few Chicagoans have been out there. So, John Namath is playing. John Namath is playing there. We just played with him.
Oh yeah. Oh, you play with John? Yeah.
Yeah, just this last weekend in Minneapolis. Yep.
Oh, nice. John's a funny guy. I've spoken to him on many occasions, and he's kind of you talk about rough around the edges. His interview style is very kind of laid back and rough around the edges, not in a bad way, but yeah, he's from what I've experienced, very down to earth gentleman. But the Fallout Shelter, I want to say my friend Gina Coleman with Misty Blues, I want to say they did a gig like you're talking about at that place.
Maybe so. I mean, I think it's, a lot of more people that reside on the East Coast know about it, I think, than otherwise. but we played City Winery last time we were in Boston, and but this was recommended, and I had a great conversation with the guy who runs it, and I've seen what they do there, and that's going to be a killer. And yeah, it's a big bonus, especially with someone as fun to watch as Rachel at the mic. It's great that we get out of there with 90 minutes of footage and recording. So, and then we finished in Buffalo at the Sportsman's Tavern on the Sunday, and then we come back to the Midwest for a bunch of shows. We're only playing through October this year because I got invited to play piano in Europe on a tour they called a Chicago Blues Festival tour. I'm going to be going for 6 weeks in November and December playing piano in Europe.
Nice.
Okay.
So we're ending Claudette stuff a little earlier this year because I'm going to be gone for November and December, and then get started. We're going to have a new album out though early next year. The Claudettes are.
Well, who are you going to be playing with in Europe?
I'm going to be playing with I don't know if Stephen Hull. He lives in Wisconsin. He's really young. He's in his early 20s. He's really excellent, really of the Albert King school, particularly as a player, a guitar player. But he's a great singer too. Really good guy. And he and a Chicago singer named Cheryl Youngblood and a guitarist named Dave Herrero, and I'm in the band, so it's piano, bass, and drums with the 3 different singers, and 2 of which play guitar. And it's like 28 shows in 34 days or something like that. So it's going to be pretty intense. I felt like the gods are messing with me because I was just kind of, feeling sorry for myself that I used to go to Europe so often, and I just don't go as much these days. And then all of a sudden I get a 6-week offer. I'm like, well, I didn't want to go for 6 weeks, but I said yes because I do want to go, and who can complain to go play piano in Europe for a month and a half? It's going to be some people would find it grueling, that kind of schedule where you have shows almost every day, but for me, music combined with travel, that's what makes the world go round. So I'm happy to do it.
Well, you mentioned earlier about musicians who are technical and versus rough around the edges, so to speak. Excuse me. And yet here you are, you're playing this great blues tunes and the music of the Claudettes, but yet you've composed or co-composed film scores or television scores, correct? For the show, the Hulu show, right? The Bear?
The Bear, which is a pretty big deal here in Chicago. It's set in Chicago, and so that was a good get. I have a writing partner who I had a band with years ago, and that was something that came his way, and he wanted my help in doing it, and so I did a little bit for season 1, and then a whole lot for season 2, just as the show really blew up. So what was really cool about it was we submitted a whole lot of music, and I didn't know what they were going to use or not use. And then when the season came on, season 2, I watched it just like everybody else, and I was like, oh, there it is. There's that piece I improvised, there that I didn't even know if they were going to use, and here it is for like 40 straight seconds. It's really pretty cool. And we're really good at it. I mean, he and I are good at doing a lot of different kinds of styles, and the technology with just being able to work on a MIDI keyboard, with Logic as his preferred program. It's just, there are things that you think are orchestral that we do, and then there's other things that are clearly keyboards, but the music ranges a lot, but that's always something I thought I'd be good at, is just, if you're an emotional person and you've played a lot of kinds of music, I think that's just a wonderful project to be, to try to further the emotion of a scene with music. That's I think the Claudette's music is very cinematic anyway. So that's just kind of the way I lean anyway, is kind of evocative music that seems to conjure up images,
I read an article about something similar to that a few years back, I guess it was, but they were talking about the movie The 10 Commandments. And if the soundtrack wasn't what it was, and how music back then was used to enhance the mood or the scene, or the way the composers had to do it totally differently, because they didn't have the special effects that they have now.
Yeah.
And how certain scenes in that movie if you took the music away and then they kind of compared things, if they took the music away, how much duller it or more dull it would have been. So score, is that difficult to score using that kind of or with that kind of pressure, so to speak, or is there any pressure?
Well, I mean, there was some time pressure where sometimes they would say, we want this kind of piece for this scene, and we need it yesterday. You know, it was kind of like that at times, where you'd be really surprised how close to the air date they're still creating the show. It's not like it's done 6 months ahead of time, and they really fuss over the editing and the mixing and mastering and everything. It's more like, the air date is in 3 weeks. How are we still working on this? Like, not even just a mid-season episode here. But so a lot of that was some of the pressure, is just the trying to write something to their satisfaction that might be any of a different kind of musical style, and getting not only writing the music, but delivering the finished track, like really quickly, But that JQ and I, who do the music, we're really good at it, because that's how we've always operated. He and I would get together to work on songs for our band members as them, and we would have it as a philosophy that life is short. We're busy people. We're not going to belabor it. We're going to get together today. We're going to come up with a beat and a bass line and some chords, and then what does this song sound like it wants to be about, and then come up with a phrase, write all the words, and make the demo in one day. And so that's exactly what this is. It's like, it's really scoring something very particular that might really range in style, and don't just come up with an idea, but deliver the final track that day. So.
Oh yeah.
I think we're better at it than others would be, and they might not realize that. Until the pressure is upon you to again just deliver the final track, not just like a sketch. It's like the final track. So, but it's a lot of fun, and we were lucky to have that gig.
Piece of cake, huh?
It would appear so.
Yeah. Oh boy, I think that's something that not a lot of people, viewers don't think about stuff like that. They just, matter of fact, I don't think many times viewers even hear the background music. If it wasn't there, they would probably say, hey, why is this different? But when you're in watching something, a lot of times people don't pay attention to it. It's kind of like when you get percussion and you mix percussion down just low enough where you can hear it and it's not really noticed, but if it wasn't there, you'd say, why does that sound empty?
Absolutely, yeah, and that's true. And I've gotten really, really attuned now. If I end up watching a series, I'm really like laser focused on that. Where as soon as the music, that's not just a soundtrack where they're picking known songs for the soundtrack, but that there's original scoring for it. I'm always listening to the instrumentation and the effects and all kinds of elements that now I've been operating in. It's really interesting. And sometimes I'll find myself envious and go, ooh, I got to look up who this is. These people are good. And then other times I'll be like, oh, they should have had me do this. We would have done better. I don't really like this score, but generally speaking, the people who get those gigs are really professional and really good, and have a real track record of making great music on the fly.
Now, there's a big difference between original music, blues music, and scoring something for film or television. Do you find it yourself that you're a perfectionist in all three, or is it easy to kind of just relax and play blues and the originals of the Claudettes without having to worry about being maybe necessarily perfect?
Oh, I think that like perfection is a problem with a lot of worldwide blues players, because you have to justify your existence and bring the existence of your recordings and your shows. And if you're going to just try to sound like Hendrix, you're going to try to sound like Elmore James, or you're going to sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan. Like, it's just those people already lived and died. Like they were being themselves all the way, and it's great to take inspiration, but if you don't add your personality and your idiosyncrasies to it, then you're not really making any kind of mark. That was another quote from that Nat Hentoff book, Listen to the Stories, that I really liked, where there was some old Kansas City jazz guy, and he was talking about his philosophy was, he said, we used to walk around Kansas City during its heyday, and you'd walk by a certain club and you'd go, oh, I know who that is. That's that sax player. You walk by another club, you go, oh, I know who that is. That's that piano player. And he said, if you're a musician, you've been playing for years, by the time you get to, say, I don't know, 25, 27 years old or something, if people can't walk by the club and say, oh, it's him or that's her, then you've lost your way. You've lost your way if people can't identify that it's you when they walk by the club. I think that's a great point, and we would all be identified if we just stopped worrying about fitting into a box. And everybody's. That's why I had a fellow keyboard player who played in the Junior Wells band after I did, and he once said, everybody's different from everybody else, but Junior's more different. He was just like, everyone's weird. You know what? If you really break down everybody and what we're really into and what we really think, what goes through our heads, and if we really expressed everything, everyone's pretty weird. And it's just like our favorite artists, I think, just are more comfortable with letting that fly, let your freak flag fly than just trying. And it's harder than ever these days because everyone wants to fit into an algorithm and get on a Spotify playlist. So it's like it's sort of dangerous to be something really unique and let your own weirdness shine, because then how can you neatly fall into a box or an algorithm?
Very true. And I think a lot of today's music, the way it's produced, the way it's written, it's not very lyrical these days, a lot of songs. The way it's produced, the way it's written, the way it's recorded, the way it's heard and played and purchased, nothing lends to really thinking outside the box in a lot of ways. But that's just one man's opinion for what that's worth. So
I think about, when I think about the Claudettes, I've often thought about the Doors and think that we're sort of like the Doors were rooted in blues music, but they were kind of like Fellini carnival music too. And you think like, how would a bluesy band with organ that kind of sounds like they're on a carnival bus, like how would they get signed and like be like successful now? It's just like, I don't think people would take a chance on something like that, and there are tons of my parents are always saying like, oh, there's no good music, or like the pop music isn't good anymore. And I understand that, like, they grew up in the golden age with the 60s and 70s. There were unspeakably great, brilliant stuff all over. But there are great artists all over the place. It's just what rises to the top and what's propagated by the music companies is a different thing.
No, very true. That's funny you say that about the Doors. The Led Zeppelin, the Doors, and Rush were my three favorite bands as a kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm still fans of them. I mean, that's, matter of fact, I'm probably still stuck in the past with them guys. But when you say that about Ray Manzarek, I mean, everything sounds like he's playing Farfisa organ for some circus that just pulled into town,
Yeah.
So what can we expect at Jamie's from you and the Claudettes?
Well, I know that they, to accommodate our schedule, they had us come in on a Thursday, which is usually their jam night. So it's hopefully the word will be out, and I appreciate you helping us get the word out that it's a one-off special event as the Claudettes from Chicago come through. And I do think that there's really outstanding musicianship. The drummer started the band with me, and he's very entertaining to watch. He's kind of the man of a thousand faces, but he's also a great piano player, which I think makes us a great duo, piano and drums, which is how we started the band. In fact, just piano drums duo. When we're just kind of we're musical brothers, and we just I saw that documentary on the Bee Gees, and it's just we're kind of like that, where we just go way back, and we've been playing together a long time, and the idea of like subbing somebody in is kind of inconceivable. We just play so well together and have so much fun together. And then Zach, who plays, he plays largely this instrument called the bass six, which is kind of like a baritone guitar. So one minute he's playing kind of bass parts, and another minute he's playing kind of slide guitar parts up on the higher part, and sometimes on the keyboards I become the bass player. So the music, I think, is really interesting, and the way I think we come off is we're understandable in that there's blues and a little bit of like jazz and soul and rock and roll in it, and those are understandable elements, but the band is really, really unique. Most bands that are kind of bluesy, punky bands center themselves around guitar, slide guitar, White Stripes and Black Keys and bands like that, it's always around guitar. And so what's different about us is it's kind of bluesy and punky, but it's centered around the piano. So I used to say if Ray Charles and Dick Dale started a band together, that's kind of what the music sounds like.
There's a combination.
Yeah, but Rachel, since it's been incredible, just the reactions that we've been getting to people who have seen us before, because she's been with us since late 2022 now, so she's already been with us almost 2 years, and she's just determined to go places with this band, and is just working overtime on all the music and coming up with all kinds of ideas of what the band should do, outside of music even, to kind of spread the word and stuff. So she's but she goes through costume changes at the shows, and it's just she just is all in on the performance. So there's great musicianship and entertainment value, but as I said at the top, if it doesn't have a lot of heart in it, it's just boring to me. And the band is mostly heart, so people do get moved by it and talk to us about that after the show. So
great. Well, I see you've been on 40 Below Records and Yellow Dog Records, and you have your own solo work on Delmark. And the album coming out in 2025.
Yep.
What label is that on?
Those discussions are happening right now, and we're deciding what we want to do and when we want to put it out. But most likely, like end of the winter or something like that. As winter turns to spring, that's probably when it will come out next year. And so we're kind of figuring that part out right now. But in the meantime, we're recording on Monday. As the good songs are coming in, we want to try to record them while they're hot. And so we keep recording. So by the time it's time to put out the record, we'll probably have another one done at that point too, because we've already got like 130% of an album, and we're recording more. So it's just, life is short, and band life is short. People move on and things in their lives, and so while everyone's feeling inspired, we're just documenting as much as we can.
Okay. Well, we played before we began this conversation. We played No Matter How Much, and you've sent me a second single called Touch You Back. Do you want to elaborate on either of them before we wrap things up?
Oh, they both, people should definitely seek out the videos for those two. There's links to them on our website and social media, but Touch You Back and No Matter How Much, we used the same director for both. We had like a 3-day video shoot, like all day, and one of them in particular was quite a production, but he went for sort of a German expressionism thing in the video, and then Touch You Back is a little more sort of new wavy, but there's elements in these tracks of kind of honky-tonk piano, prog rock, new wave, krautrock. There's just a lot to take in, I know, but I still think that even as our genres spin out of control, I think we always sound like the same band, because it's the same 4 people, and then we have the same. My last band I was in, I had organ, piano, and 3 synthesizers. This band, I decided to keep it simple, and I almost entirely just play acoustic piano. In Touch You Back, I did break out my old synth that I have in kind of in storage here, and I played some synth things. You'll hear people will sort of scratch their heads and go, I don't know what to call this. They might say, I love it, but I'm trying to describe it to someone. I don't know what this is. So I think it's accessible and eccentric at the same time. I think
fantastic. Well, once again, I'm on the phone with Johnny Iguana of the Claudettes, and you will be at Jamie's house. Boy, there's no rest for the weary with this tour, right? You're hitting Virginia on September 4th, and Jamie's on the 5th, and New York City on the 6th, and Massachusetts on the 7th, and then Albany on the 8th, or Buffalo on the 8th.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And then we're home for a few days, and then we have a whole bunch of great Midwest shows coming up. So, yeah, it's very often I'll be saying with the band, who knows what's going to end up being what someone would call very successful or what's a career, but we don't know how long our lives are going to be and how long we'll be healthy and have opportunities in front of us. But it sure is a great way to spend your days, weeks, and years making music together, and I think people have fun at our shows because it's very evident that why else would we be getting in that van and doing all those shows if it wasn't just like something we were all excited to do and kind of a gift.
True, very true, and that's something. I don't want to say normal people because musicians aren't very normal, but
yeah, you don't want to freak out the normal.
Yes. But that's something that a lot of people, unless you are a musician, can't understand.
Yeah.
But all right, John. Well, thank you, man, for taking the time to call Rock On Radio. I greatly appreciate it. And again, September 5th, Jamie's House of Music, and then the 6th at the Iridium in New York City. Great luck, much luck with the tour, and enjoy your tour of Europe. And we're gonna play that the other tune, "Touch You Back," right now as soon as we hang up. You okay with that?
I'd be mad if you didn't.
There you go. All right, John. Thank you so much, man. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Rock on, buddy.
All right, man.
All right. Bye.
All right.
When I said I wanted revolution, I was asking you to spin around. When I said we should get moving, I didn't mean get out of town. You know what? No more flowery words. You tend to get sidetracked. I don't know what you think you heard, but I can tell you this: touch me, and I'll touch you back, and I'll touch you back. I'm ready for another rising, and I don't mean I wanna fight. Don't waste time analyzing. Consider this a green light. No, you're not doing this wrong. Don't take a different tack. The force with this one is strong. So here's a promise: touch me, and I'll touch you back, and I'll touch you back. Okay, nothing more oblique from me, 'cause honey, you're a bit obtuse. What you get is what you see. Is there a wild man on the loose? The game board's out of the box. The pieces are unpacked. Just remember, if you get lost, touch me, and I'll touch you back, and I'll touch you back.
Well, there he was, Claire. Johnny Iguana.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool,
Yeah.
to talk to him. Again, he's going to be at Jamie's House of Music September 5th in Philadelphia, and then the Iridium in New York on the 6th in New York City. Well, we got to make this quick because the next interview is being aired because Joe Weimer got ripped off from Chip Off
Shafted.
the Old Rock this past Sunday. So we're going to re-air my interview that I did with Joe, and then we're going to come back and wrap it up.
You got it.
Here we go. Okay, welcome to the first hour of Chip Off the Old Rock. I am your host, Danny Coleman, as I said. And during this first hour, I have Freehold resident and musician, a licensed vocalist, an all-around wonderful human being who I have had the pleasure of performing with and becoming a friend of. Please welcome Joe Weimer to Chip Off the Old Rock. Hello, Joe.
Hi, Danny. How you doing?
You know I am always doing better when I'm talking to you, my friend.
Me too. Hey, Sadie's good too. That's my dog. There you go.
So you have two studio albums. You play all over the state of New Jersey and beyond. You work for several theaters. Music pretty much dominates your landscape. So tell the listeners here of Chip Off the Old Rock, tell them all about Joe Weimer. Go ahead.
Well, I just come from this, I don't want to use the word cesspool, but I come from this, cesspool of music and musicians in my family that we listened to all kinds of music growing up, and my mom was a piano player, and I come from a long line of mandolin players and singers and all kinds of stuff. Went to Juilliard, dropped out of Juilliard, was in the Navy for a few years, quite a while. Got out of the Navy, was in the reserves, but I always fell back on my music roots. It's what's keep me sane all these years, I guess. And it's been joyful. I've about 25 years ago, I met a man who was totally into my original material and felt it was worth recording, and so we invested money in getting my originals recorded, and it just took off from there. I had an opportunity to work with John Leadersdorf, who now owns Lake House, the Lake House monopoly over in Asbury Park. But before he was the big Lake House man, he was his house in Deal in the Basement guy, where many of us recorded in his basement studio. Such wonderful acts like Matt Wade and Quincy Mumford, and all of us were part of that. John Leadersdorf, Matt O'Ree of John Leadersdorf's little basement Lake House recording studio thing, and a lot of great music came out of there. And I'm forever grateful for John for pushing me to my limits on that record, because that record, took my music to new heights, and it's just been amazing. I didn't start playing guitar till later in life. My parents passed away on the same day, and I started out as bereavement therapy playing guitar, and next thing I knew, I had some natural chops about me. Studied guitar with some of the great Jersey Shore legends like Jerry Topinka, Pat Carwin, Gary Wright, Sonny Kent, Matt O'Ree, Billy Hector. I played with a lot of great guys, a lot of great teachers. There are times when I hold myself back because I'm around those guys, but I've learned over the years not to do that. Just, go ahead and play and play your best play your best guitar you can every single time you can. But the writing was really what, took my music to kind of new heights. So writing from a perspective that people can relate to, people who have experienced love, loss, divorce, losing a parent, losing a brother, if you had those hardcore hardcore experiences, then you can write about them. And when those happen, it's really where your folks start to connect to you. So I think lyrically, between the music, the combination of the lyrics I had and the music, Liedersdorf felt a strong connection to what has been called the Four on the Floor Hurricane, which is what my music gets labeled as for the most part. Several years later, I met Mark Swirsky, amazing, talented man, and he worked on my second album with me, and he just loved the writing as well, and the lyrics, you know, and where they were coming from. And he said anybody who could write a song like that, and the song's called Shoebox. It's about my youngest son finding my diary. And it's really interesting how the events of that, my son finding the diary and reading what was in it, and how Shoebox came out was just, it just happened naturally. And I think Mark Swirsky saw that. He says it's one of the best songs that any local songwriter has ever written. So, you know, I take that to heart because the guy's a Grammy winner. So, you know, so Jo Weimer, well, she's a cesspool of everything from music to theater to technical stuff to musicianship to artistry to lyricist to friend.
And in order for myself to give the listeners of these stations and this program full disclosure, Joe and I are friends, and we have been friends for over 15 years now. And I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I absolutely adore and love this woman. And I have never actually had anybody, but I'm guessing if it was you, I mean, since it's you, that's who it would be, to come on this program and say they come from a cesspool. Because you are about as straight a shooter as I have ever encountered. You and I have that in common, which has helped us in a lot of cases and has also hurt us in a lot of cases. But as we get older and we discover, we don't need those who it has hurt us with for the most part. And what I mean by that is if people can't handle the truth, you don't necessarily need them in your life. And Living with Scars, your first record, I was there in the days and moments leading up to you recording that record. And I remember watching the songs transform at the hands of Liedersdorf. And, you know, I remember you coming to a band rehearsal and saying, yeah, I walked into the lake house for my session, and there's Clarence Clemens. And then later on, you wind up, you know, doing some backing tracks for a Bruce Springsteen album.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he winds up booking us a gig after that night on the boardwalk in Asbury Park. So there, you know, you and I have been through a lot of stuff, and you and I have seen the music scene from start to finish. And I don't think, you know, when you say cesspool, I don't think people realize that at times it kind of was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not, don't make me laugh too hard, my friend. I got this broken rib from a fan who hugged me a little too tight at a gig, so I'm like, but yeah, so true. And I don't mean the cesspool in a negative sense. I mean a cesspool of just a mishmash of stories and experiences that have happened here where we are at the Jersey Shore, where it's really all about Springsteen, and there's always a story centered around Bruce that people don't know about. That night on the boardwalk, you and I and my husband will never forget, with Springsteen holding his motorcycle helmet and on the phone, you know. And then next thing I know, I'm one of the background vocals doing stuff for one of his songs. And it's the stories and experiences that make us who we are that people don't know about until they sit down and start talking to you, or even take a few minutes to listen to the lyrics in your music. So it's really interesting when those stories, people do hear those stories, how fascinated they are, especially when you tell the story about that night on the boardwalk. And yeah, and I don't know, were you there the night Frankie Valli was there too? Frankie Valli stopped and it's like, girl, you can sing. So,
No, I missed that one.
yeah, yeah. So walking down the boardwalk, playing at the sandwich hut Marnie used to have. But yeah, you and I have come a long way through the years. It's a little more than 15 years, I think, Danny. And we've seen all kinds of acts and music come and go. But what keeps us true is our friendships and our stories and our experiences. I've been around a lot of musicians since I've lived here in New Jersey, and I got out of the military and I fell right back into my music, and it's really what keeps us sane. So when I say cesspool, I mean like it's in a good way. It's in a good way.
Because we've been through some serious crap.
Oh my God. Well, that's the musician's life, You're on the road and wheels up, and when you're not on the road, you're home and wheels are up.
Right.
Not the way you expected.
Well, I don't know if I ever told you this story, but that night that Bruce stopped and was talking to, to us and your fantastic husband, my man Dan, I saw him. You were playing, and for those listening, we got to kind of set the atmosphere of this gig. It's in Asbury Park. This woman Marnie that Joe mentioned opened up a sandwich shop out of a moving pod, because the Asbury Park Boardwalk here in New Jersey put the moving pods on there and people could run businesses out of them. So she has a sandwich shop. And it's a fantastic gig because the sun is setting behind you, the moon is coming up over the ocean. You're right on the boardwalk. So it was the end of September and they were doing the bonfires on the beach, remember? So we were playing there to try to keep people coming to the boardwalk. So we're in the middle of playing, and I look down to the left, which would have been the north end of the boardwalk towards the Paramount Theater and Convention Hall. And I see this guy walking with his motorcycle helmet and his chaps, and one side of his shirt's tucked in, the other's not. And my thought, and I'm going to clean it up here because this is, not allowed to get exact. But my first thought was, look at this idiot trying to look like Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, you did say that.
And as he got closer past Madame Marie's and all these places that are in his songs, I'm like, you're the idiot that is Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
So,
and where does he stop? He stops right in front of us, standing next to my husband.
but the funny part was the people would be riding by on the boardwalk and they're stopping and they're like, yo, boss, hey, Bruce, Bruce, you got to check her out. This girl can sing. I can remember that one woman saying that. Yeah. And then, of course, we thought that he had left and he turned around and got on his cell phone, on his bike, on his motorcycle. And next thing you know, you're doing backing vocals, and we get booked at Scooters in Howe for 2 shows opening for John Eddy. So,
That was funny.
It's those kind of stories that are those very scars that we're talking about from your first album. And actually, right now, Joe, I've got a song from Living with Scars. We don't play that often, actually. Because most of the stuff that gets the attention are some of your hard rockers off of that album and some of the stuff that you do mostly live. But this song, This Ain't Love, the Love and War song, we're going to play that. But do you want to tell us a little bit about it beforehand or no?
No, I think the lyrics will tell the story. I'm no angel. I'm on my second marriage. first marriage probably wasn't the greatest marriage there was. We all have those stories. For God's sakes, Bonnie Raitt has those stories too. So I'll let the lyrics speak for themselves. So enjoy.
All right. We're gonna run it. If you're just tuning in, this is Chip Off the Old Rock. I am Danny Coleman. I am on the phone with Joe Weimer, a Freehold area musician and licensed vocalist. This is a song from her album Living with Scars, which, what year did that come out now, Joe? Gosh, they all blend together.
2011.
2011. Wow.
Mm-hmm. And that song has been featured on quite a few television shows. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, here is This Ain't Love.
Hurting me. Somehow I was never good enough. All these scars are from your loving touch. Broken bones is how you love me. I can't deny that it's time to leave. Yeah. All is fair in love and war, but I'm not fighting anymore. No, our losing battle is just too much. Trust me, baby. Oh, this ain't love. This ain't love. No, no. Accuse me from your guilty conscience. I never strayed. I kept my promise. You're broken down. You're damaged goods. I'm moving on like I knew I should. Yeah, I can't stay here any longer. Nowhere to go, but I'm getting stronger. And I'm no quitter when times are tough. There ain't no winning when there's no trust. All is fair in love and war, but I'm not fighting anymore. No, our losing battle is just too much. Trust me, baby. This ain't love. How? This ain't love. Better hear me now. This ain't love. Oh no, no, this ain't love. Honey. All is fair in love and war, but I'm not fighting anymore. No, our losing battle is just too much. Trust me, baby. This ain't love. This ain't love. Oh, no. This ain't love, no, no. This ain't
All right, I am back with Joe Weimer. We were just waxing poetic about some of our gigs, and the funny things that have happened. But there have been some serious things to happen over the days as well. And living with scars was a great first entry for you into the CD. I was honored to MC your CD release party at the Wonder
Yeah.
Bar in Asbury
Yeah.
Park.
Yeah.
But yet you're also a licensed vocalogist.
Yep.
One of only how many in the state?
There's a few more now, but when I first got my licensure, but actually it's licensed now. Back then it was just like a certification, but there's only two of us at the time, and a vocalogist is like a vocal chiropractor or a speech language pathologist, physician's assistant. We are not doctors, but we can analyze the voice. We can create therapy skills for them. And I've worked with a lot of local musicians who, as they age, they have vocal problems and they don't know why. So I've had a lot of pretty famous New Jersey musicians in my home working with me to habilitate or rehabilitate their voices and get them back to where they were before they realized the types of damage that they were doing. So there's a lot of factors that come to play with some of, musicians who tour and sing. If you're not trained properly, you can lose pieces of your range and you can do serious damage to your vocal cords. Also, the type of diet you have can cause damage to your vocal cords. And I work with a specific ENT in the area who also has worked with a lot of famous New Jersey musicians who have had problems, and he always sends them to me. So what I do is I analyze what's going on with their voice. We get their throat scoped from an ENT, and then we see what they have going on. I've dealt with people who have unilateral paralysis of the vocal cords, bilateral paralysis of the vocal cords, a nodule, polyps, a hemorrhage, people who have literally burned their vocal cords because they have so much acid reflux or GERD or LRPD. And my job is to create exercises to help rehabilitate their vocal cords. If they've had surgery, I work with them post-surgery, post-time with the SLP, to speech language pathologists, to continue their maintenance, especially if they're a touring musician. They need to know what to do in certain instances, what types of vocal skills to warm up with and cool down with, just like an athlete would. So that's what a vocalogist does. And it took me 10 years of schooling. It took me away from songwriting for a while. But you're probably like, well, who's this woman, Jo Weimer from Freehold? But literally, I work with a lot of high-profile Broadway performers, touring musicians, local celebrities, and it's very rewarding work, I have to say, to get these vocalists back to where they were and maybe even stronger. So that's the piece of my job that I find so rewarding as I age, to be able to help these artists, find their best selves in their voices again.
Well, speaking of who is this woman, Jo Weimer, where can we find you? Your website, social media? What's the best way to find your music, find out about you, and possibly enlist your services?
Sure, you can just Google me, Jo, Jowyer. I have a Facebook page, Jo Weimer. I have a YouTube channel, Weimer World. I have a Twitter account, Jo Weimer Music. Instagram at Jo Weimer Music. You can find me on Backstage.com at Jo-Weimer. You can find me on SoundCloud, Jo Weimer Music, or you can go to Jo Weimer Music Studios to find more about what I do as a vocalogist. So I've been the National Association of Professional Women Woman of the Year several times. 2013, I've had it 4 times. I am a 3-time Grammy balloted musician. I'm a 2-time AMA award-winning musician and composer. I am the 2023 NJ Act Perry Award nominee for Outstanding Stage Management. I've won 2 Phoenix Awards for Outstanding Stage Management and for building props for the show Ragtime. So I've been around the block. Actually, I won the New Jersey Acoustic Musicians Guild Top Performers Award 2 times. I won the Asbury Park Music Award once for Top Blues Band. That was in 2010. So I have all these like wonderful little accolades. And recently, I just got nominated for a Kelsey Award for Outstanding Stage Management as the for the prom at the Basie. So, and I've been nominated for Broadway World Stage Manager of the Year twice. So yeah, so I do a lot of things centered around the performing arts on both ends, whether a musician or theater life. So.
Well, the Asbury Park Music Award, as we both know, I am the Susan Lucci of the Asbury Park Music Awards. Nominated like whatever it was 10 times, never once won. However, which is a joke, and I laugh about it in all honesty. But when you won that for the best blues band, I was a member of your band at that time.
Yes, you
and but yet you strayed from blues music because you thought that might be one of the things that was interfering with people taking you seriously or getting different gigs. And you kind of moved on to, well, Living with Scars. It's, if people heard what that music sounded like when you and I would perform it versus what it sounded like on the record, they would struggle to think they were the same songs. And so you went with a kind of different direction, a little more rocking, a little different sound. Then your second album, SLG, was a totally different approach.
Yeah.
And that was the one that you did with Mark Swirsky.
Yep.
And so you've kind of, I don't want to say chameleoned, but you have adapted in certain ways. Was that hard for you to do? Was that a struggle? What was the thought process?
The thought process was, for me, I'm not a young spring chicken. So, and this area is dominated by new music. And in order to keep up with the times, I needed to make some changes in the way I was approaching my music and the way I was thinking about, what's my message? What's my purpose? How can I show my listeners, my flexibility and what my capabilities are, and because I was just getting pigeonholed into blues, right? Oh, you're a blues singer. There are people out there that still call me a blues singer. Oh, you're the singer. You're just the singer. You're a blues singer. No, I went to school to study contemporary jazz. So really, jazz is my foundational stuff. And I grew up Catholic, so singing in the church was something that you always did. And so I have a little bit of the secular piece that turned into like kind of soulful gospel type stuff. So while people say I sound like Janis Joplin, I really don't sound like her at all. We have similarities, but there are other flavors in my voice and in my music that I wanted people to hear. So, as a matter of fact, I recently put out a jazz tune I wrote with Janet Brooks, who is a wonderful composer from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, that I met on a Zoom call during COVID. And she and I write contemporary jazz songs together, but we've only recorded one so far. So, and that's the one, Dark Heart. That's a totally different facet, and of what I'm capable of, So I have a separate band from the Joe Weimer band called the Jazz Squad, made up of some of this area's finest jazz musicians, and I mean finest jazz musicians. And we do a Diana Krall / Melody Gardot / Madeline Perot tribute stuff, and it's been wonderfully received. But a lot of people didn't know that I'm not just a one-trick pony. You know, I have 20 tricks up my sleeve, and whatever I have to do to keep my audiences excited, intrigued, on the edges of their seats, and listening. Because we don't listen to music like we used to, Danny. You know that. You know, and I still enjoy pulling out a vinyl and, you know, putting the needle on the wax and letting it roll, you know. I don't know about you. If you're a real music lover and a real musician's musician, you still love to hear the needle drop. And there isn't a Sunday morning that, you know, that we miss dropping the needle in my house. So, you know, so it's I want people to hear those facets in my music and see those facets when I'm playing. You know, I don't want to be a one-trick pony. And there's a lot of one-trick ponies around here. So
That there is, and you and I know them, some of them, or we've strayed away and stayed away from them as well.
yeah.
But, all right, well, you mentioned Dark Heart. This was a song you wrote with who again?
Janet Brooks, and she is she's a film music composer from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, but she plays jazz piano, and she has this, if you know who the Bill Evans Trio is, she has a Bill Evans sound about her that is just, it's amazing. So this is a song we wrote together and recorded it at Surefire, and it was a really great time. We had some wonderful jazz musicians who are now part of that jazz squad of mine, and it's just joyful to play out. And she and I did, you know, we wrote it, produced it, engineered, you know, worked with the engineering all ourselves. I did the video all myself for it, the music video too. So
fantastic. Once again, I'm on the phone with Joe Weimer. You are listening to Chip Off the Old Rock, and here is Dark Heart.
Sin buried deep beneath your skin. Hurt can only fester from within. Believe the feelings stolen by a thief. Pain's a careless whisper turning into grief. Naked landscape cutting thin. Anger burning time and time again. Heartache, this type of wound won't set you free. This madness, you and me, we're not meant to be. Dark heart, you won't change with time. Dark heart moves around your suffering mind. Oh, dark heart, you went too far across the line. In your dark heart, free. Your dog heart needs to breathe. Set us free.
Mark Hart from Joe Weimer here once again on Chip Off the Old Rock. So we were talking while that was airing that you have many of your students are now the new wave of musicians around Asbury Park, because you are not only a vocalist but a vocal instructor, teacher. People like Gabby Cinque and Samantha Spano, and there's just so many others, and they're really lighting it up. And it's got to be, is that ever bittersweet for you, because you're so thrilled for them, but yet it's like, all right, that's the changing of the guard, and where you kind of look, I sit and we've had this discussion where I watch radio personalities, not that there are any anymore, because everything's podcasts and radio is starting to fade out in general, terrestrial radio anyway, as I sit here on a terrestrial radio station. Everything's more internet oriented or satellite. And I listen to and I watch things, and as I get older and watch my relevancy start to fade, you sit back and you watch the people that you helped their careers, and you're so happy for them. I know that I am, and I know you are too. But then yet you sit there and you say, yeah, my time isn't long. It can be bittersweet.
So I just want to say Gabby's last name is pronounced Cinque.
Oh, Cinque. So, I'm sorry.
Yep, that's okay. No, just so you know, I don't want it to get back. All my students who are making a name for themselves, the Coastal Cowgirls, Sam Spano, Gabby Cinque Band, they know who paved the way for them. My students know how to stand and deliver. That's something I never tell any of my clients or my students to break legs. I always tell them stand and deliver. So I'm glad the next generation, there's a next generation of Jersey Shore females that actually play and sing, not just hold a tambourine and sing. All these women play and sing, and I'm glad that there is even a next generation that has women. This generation, my generation, women like Strawberry Pie and Sharon Lasher, Rory Block,
Pammy McCoy, yeah, Pam McCoy.
We have paved the way for those young ladies so they can start their own path. You know what I mean? Is it bittersweet? Yes. And is it not bittersweet? Yes. It's both. Now my students are getting the gigs that I used to have, but that's a testament to their talents and what they're able to do with their talents, you know what I mean? And so I have to remember that women like us have kicked that door in for them to have those opportunities as well, and now they're kicking new doors. So this area is inundated with male-dominated bands, and I'm one of the few female band leaders in the area, and I tell all of my female-identified clients that you have to stand up and deliver the goods, whether there's one person in your audience or 20,000. You have to be who you want to be, with your music, and you're entertaining a crowd. And they're doing that. All 6 of them are doing that. The other girls are out there. I'll say Amanda Marino. I met her during teaching at the Basie. They had a rocket program over there where the kids come in, and they're young kids, and they form rock bands, and they have a performance, and I'm here I am 10 years later, and I'm still around Amanda, and she's still out there getting gigs, and playing and gigging every weekend. That kid fights for every gig, and then there's Gabby Cinque, who was with the Rocket Band and decided, I'm going to do my own thing. And she just kicked the door in, and now she's doing her own thing. She has her own band. She has someone, booking her. And Samantha Spano was a Swiftie when she was a little kid. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
She since she was a little kid. And now she's the Coastal Cowgirl kicking doors down to make sure that the Jersey Shore has a country scene, And then there's, Nicolette Davis, all these other wonderful females who are out there playing and singing and writing and performing and recording. That, what's bittersweet about it is I hope that this area becomes known for its female songwriters, and hopefully people acknowledge that women like me and Pam McCoy, and Sharon Lasher and the McCrinks have kicked that door down for them,
Yeah, it's, and as I said, I mean, you're right. We have known each other for longer than 15 years, probably closer to 20.
Yes, probably is closer to 20 because I'm married 20, so it's probably around 19 years.
Yep,
You
and
and I know each other.
and you and I have seen the changes because when I first started performing with you, we used to do a lot of coffee house gigs.
Yes,
We used to do the Twisted Tree on Cookman Avenue in Asbury Park.
that's
or
right.
We would do a couple restaurants here and there. And I was doing percussion for you. I mean, that's what it kind of evolved into. That first gig I did with you was the Kaboom Fest in Red Bank.
Yep.
And which was funny. That's how our relationship began. I passed the audition, and you're like, all right, great, we got a gig. When? 2.5 weeks from now. Here's my originals. You got to learn them. And,
Yeah.
we were sandwiched between the Maddo Reband and Woodfish, who were the two heavy hitters at the time in that area. And it was it was fantastic. But, so much then it began to go back to full bands, and the Stone Pony began to thrive again, and the Wonder Bar. And with the Bobby Mahonies and the Connor Brackens and the Quincy Mumfords and all those guys began to take the acoustic scene. Well, that coupled with Madison Marquette doing a lot of damage with licensing fees and the such, that took the scene to a more electrified version again. And now it seems to have come back to where people aren't paying that kind of money for the big 5, 6, 7-piece bands, and they're going more with the solos and the duos. It just seems like it's a constantly evolving thing, and you, Joe Weimer, have always been able to adapt.
Yep, exactly. I'm glad that you even said that because, and actually during COVID, Bobby Mahoney said something about that to me. Because I did that Confessions of a Quarantine Rock Star where I made those TV shows and I would post them each week. And Mahoney would say, Joe, you always find some creative way to inspire us to do more, do something different, I wasn't going to sit back and let COVID, cut us down as a group. I reached out to Vinny Lopez, I reached out to the Weaklings, I reached out to Bobby Mahoney, I reached out to Pam McCoy, I reached out to Lisa Sherman, and I did these TV shows. I reached out to you.
Yep.
You were my drink and the cigar of the week because, you have to adapt to your environment if you believe in your music.
Yeah.
And that's why you said, Joe Weimer's a chameleon. Every musician should be one.
Well,
every musician should be a chameleon.
Well, they have to, but then you walk the tightrope of do I compromise who I am just to try and, like when a record company signs you and says, "Oh, we love your music, but we're going to take it in this direction." Well, wait a minute. This is me. I'm not that way. So you're always kind of walking that thin line where you got to stay true to yourself and your sound, but yet you got to evolve. And
well, you remembered what happened with Florida Georgia Line,
yes.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, they wanted to take my song from me, And I get it. But I wasn't about to compromise my name and my music to have some other person or other band get credit for my name, for my music, and those lyrics mean something to me. I'm not a sellout. I won't sell out my music because those songs are experiences, strengths, and hopes that have gone on in my life or people's lives that I care about. So, but yeah, I mean, you're right. This, it just, you just don't want to, let those things go.
Well, we have one song left before we have to come back and wrap it up.
Okay.
And it was off of SLG. It's called No Rolls.
No rules, no boundaries.
I'm sorry, No Rules.
No rules, yep. Mm-hmm.
So that pretty much sums you up, Weimer. You know that. All right.
People, when they see us together, we should have our own radio show. I'm not going to lie. We talk about stuff, we talk about experiences in music. But yeah, No Rules is that song does sum it up. When you hear the lyrics, you'll know exactly where that came from. I'd gone down to Nashville to try and make a name for myself. It's like Marissa Tomei and my cousin Vinny. There was no way I was breaking through that Nashville scene. Memphis Austin's a different story, right? I fit the Austin scene really well, and I get well received when I play down in Austin. But I was not fitting in Nashville, and this song is about what happened when I went down there. So I just wasn't about to compromise myself and my music. So,
all right. Well, here it is. No Rules from Joe Weimer.
I'm too old, you tell me just let go. You say that I can't do this anymore. You say the songs don't sell, I tell you go to hell. I'll get out and do this on my own. Tell it like it is, hold back and nothing gives. And now I find I'm walking out your door. She's just your one-trick pony, one and only phony money maker out there on the road. I got no rules, I got no boundaries, no. I got no time for all your negativity. I got my hopes and dreams, my positivity, and I know that nothing's gonna stop me, nothing, no, no. I said nothing, no. Not the devil, not you. You don't inspire me, I think you fired me. I think you're crazy, I don't believe in you. The road ahead of me has possibilities. I'm gonna show you what this girl can do. Ain't no scene, no dream, no love, no in between. I won't take the hit, I won't take the fall. Breaking down the walls, I'm busting through them all. I keep trying, I keep trying. I got no rules, I got no boundaries, no. I got no time for all your negativity. I got my hopes and dreams, my positivity, and I know that nothing's gonna stop me, nothing, no, no. I said nothing, no, no.
All right. Back with Joe Weimer. That was No Rules off SLG. Joe, website again?
www.joeweimer, JOWYMER.com, or Weimer World on YouTube, or Joe Weimer Music on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
That always cracks me up. Weimer World. Yeah.
It's a spin-off on Wayne's World.
Yeah, right? That's a fun world. I've been there before.
It's a fun world, my friend. And you know what? You're always on a wild ride in Weimer World.
Right? Miss Joe's Wild Ride, like Mr. Toad.
That's right. It's always like that with me.
That's funny. All those incredible rides in the Disney World and Disneyland franchise. And most people, when you ask them that are our age, they always say, oh, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Right. We all have vertigo now from that ride, though. So there you go.
Well, before I let you go, Joe, I will be seeing you this coming Saturday, the 24th of August, because I'm the MC at the Long Branch Jazz and Blues Festival, of which you are a participant, and you'll be kicking the whole thing off by singing the national anthem.
I will, as me being a Navy veteran. Yes, I'm a Desert Storm veteran, so they asked me to sing the national anthem, and then my jazz squad is kicking off the festival. We're the very first act of the day, so I hope you all grab your wine coolers and your roller skates and come and enjoy some jazz music and some blues music on the wonderful boardwalk in Long Branch, New Jersey.
Yeah, that's a great shell right there with the ocean right across the street. Yep.
Gorgeous, yeah.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
All right, Joe. Well, thank you for your time, as
you.
always. And we here at Chip Off the Old Rock appreciate you. And like I said before, full disclosure, I love you, baby.
Love you too. Yep, rock on, Danny. Chip off that old rock. We are a couple of chips, aren't we?
We are, aren't we? All right, Joe. And
Okay, thanks, honey.
I'm going to go out on another song that Joe did as a collaboration. Here's their version. I believe this was the Jersey Shore Analog Warriors and their version of Cream's Strange Brew.
Strange brew, killing what's inside of you. She's a witch of the trouble in electric blue. In her own mad mind, she's in love with you, with you. Now what you gonna do? Strange brew, killing what's inside of you.
Here it is, Claire. Joe Weimer, chip off the old rock. I want to thank Joe for taking the time, bailing me out of a precarious situation by giving me that interview. And then station screwed it up anyway.
But now she gets to hear it any time. See, before, you only hear it. If you miss it, you miss it.
Well, I actually turned it into a...
Podcast too?
Yeah,
Okay.
so people can go that route by going to the Penguin Rocks. It'll be
Nice.
up there for a while. But we also... Next week, we have the Mike Montre Band.
Woohoo!
Right?
Yay, they're great.
So if before I leave, we forgot to tell people at the beginning of the show how to find us.
Go to dcror.com, which is the short link for Danny Coleman's rockonradio.com.
Correct. Facebook, Danny Coleman's Rock On Radio 2. Instagram and Twitter, at Rock On Radio, all one word, all capital letters. So, until next week, rock on!